Today I'm going to show you how to stencil a doormat using the freezer paper method. This is what we are going to do in our craft class on Tuesday night. So for everybody who's not able to attend and wants to know how to do this, I'm going to demo what we're going to do. These are mats just from IKEA. This is the smaller one, and the one we're doing for class is actually the bigger size one. And they're really nice because they hold the paint well and it doesn't run, and they tend to hold up pretty good. So this one I'm actually going to make for our RV. The other one I made finally gave out. It held so much dirt from all the dirty campsites and stuff that I decided to toss it and make a new one. So I have already used my Cricut to cut out the stencil. I'm just going to remove it from the mat and explain a little bit about why I'm using the freezer paper method versus vinyl or stencil vinyl. So vinyl and stencil vinyl has a sticky back, whereas the freezer paper does not have a sticky back. So it just makes it a little bit easier to transfer it from the mat, the cutting mat, onto the doormat for stenciling. So my Cricut mats are a little bit old, so I always tape stuff down so that it doesn't shift. Okay, so I'm going to remove it from the Cricut mat. And this is why I prefer to use the freezer paper method, because as you're trying to unroll this using vinyl, it can stick to itself. Stencil vinyl and removable vinyl, you can both kind of undo it. Don't use the 6x1 vinyl because it will stick and not come undone. Okay, so we're just going to get this on here as even as you can and as centered as you can. Now you'll notice that the wax paper does not stick, so the trick to making it stick a little bit is to run your iron over it. It's not going to make it permanently stick, but it will help it stay in place a little bit better. If you were using the removable vinyl or the stencil vinyl, you would not need to iron on because it would already be sticky on the back. So this is just a little bit extra step in using the freezer paper method. Let me see if I can figure out why this one's messed up. I just want to try to make sure those edges are pressed down pretty good. Now these small pieces that we didn't fill in, we're going to pull them off and place them where they need to go. Press it down. Then you can use a pin, safety pin or sewing pin to keep it in place. So when you're laying it down on the mat, when you've originally cut it with your Cricut, you're going to want to make sure that you put the shiny side down, or the waxy side down. And you're going to want to cut it on copy paper setting. And it's nice because it'll stick, but it's not going to stick to the point that you can't pull it off. And then, like these smaller pieces, of course, just pin them in the corners, keep them from coming up. You can also use your painter's tape if you want to help secure the corners. I don't know that I need it. I have it here if I start to feel like I need to Like I said, the good thing about this is it's coarse, so it's not going to run the way that the wood would run easier, where it would get caught up underneath your stencil. These normally come out pretty sharp. This is the first time I've done freezer paper method. I've always done it with vinyl, and this is so much easier. So take a good look at it and make sure you have everything the way you want it. And then when you're happy with it, you just take your sponge. I like to use the smaller ones of these, but this is fine too, since I'm doing a bigger part with the camper in the middle. And I use outdoor acrylic paint. Some people spray paint, some people will use regular paint. I've always just used the acrylic paint and I've had good results with it. Then when you're ready, you just start dabbing over each letter and fill in all those little crevices. I went ahead and went back and pinned down a bunch of spots because I think it's just going to lift. I've never pinned them before either, so this is the first time that I've done it this way with the paper and the pins. I also changed out my brush to the smaller one for these letters because it seems to be going a little bit better. This mat is really soaking up the paint. I have not done a huge design like this that's required this much paint before. So. Alright, so I have the camper just about done. Just going in and trying to fill in some other spots. The coverage is as thick or not as thick as you want. So you can do however many coats. I'm not as particular, especially since this is going to be in our RV and it's going to get incredibly dirty the very first time we use it. But like I said, I love these IKEA mats because they really help gather dirt before it's brought into your camper. But the more you use it, the quicker you'll notice that the paint fades. I have a nice mat that I did over 3 years ago at my front door, and it still looks really good because it's your front door, you're not bringing in a bunch of dirt. But ones I've made for my back patio, where we have a pool and chlorine water is getting on it constantly, it fades much faster, and this will fade a lot faster with all the amount of dirt that will get on it from camping. So I'm not going to be super particular about making sure this one is filled in as nicely as I would, one for like my front door. Like the one that's out there. Now this particular size mat from IKEA, these are really nice because they layer well with the underlying mats of whatever, like buffalo plaid or something. I have buffalo plaid underneath my straw mat at my front door. And it looks really nice. It dresses up the patio or your front entryway. I would never do that in the RV. All right, so I'm just finishing up my last H in between these pins. You can experiment and play with different paints and see what you like. Wood signs. I have a welcome wood sign at my front door that I did with regular outdoor paint that came out nice. Jennifer Maker talks about using spray paint. Just going to use use the rest of my paint up so I don't waste anything. Okay, now I'm going to very carefully remove the pins. Okay, now I'm going to remove the stencil very carefully. And there you have it. You can always go back and fill in some of these places that didn't get real dark. Once you're done giving it a time to dry, you're going to want to take some type of a clear polyurethane sealer. This is the type that I use. Minwax Fast Drying Polyurethane, the clear satin. Take it outside and spray it. Give it a good coating and that'll protect it. And that's how you stencil a doormat. So if you have any questions, leave a comment. Visit my Facebook page, Cricut Crafting, or my website, www.jenaleeboutique.com. I will have the video posted there as well as on YouTube, and feel free to ask any questions.